Hi guys, thanks so much for watching. Speaking of, in this week's interview, I talked to the co-founders of Nayya, who tell me about their financial wellness company, which uses machine learning and AI to help people choose their benefits. If you think about it, choosing benefits is really not fun for most people, and it can be pretty difficult because it's not typically laid out in a way that's easy for people to decide so that they know what they really need and what they don't, if they're overbuying or underbuying. And so Nayya has 3.5 billion data points that they use to help people make sure that they're in the right plan. So it was really great to be able to talk to them about their business, why they started it, how it works, and how it's helping people, and how they're going to transform the industry through it. And then from my weekly update, completely changing topics, I was up really late the other night and I was watching either VH1 Classic or MTV Classic, and I couldn't stop watching. I think I sat there for like 2 hours and watched all the things. I mean, it was like the B-52s and then some Whitney Houston. She actually had 2 videos on there, so it was like her night there. And then tons and tons of hair bands, which are my favorite. But it was totally cracking me up because I never really thought about it before, but I was young whenever the hair bands were in their heyday, and I loved them, and I loved Poison. But some of these, like Europe's Final Countdown was on, and I've never ever seen that video. I don't know that I've actually ever seen a picture of the band Europe, but there's a couple of them who are really pretty. Like, not just hot like you would have thought in the 80s, but like pretty. And I thought, gosh, if I were a teenager in the 80s or 90s when this stuff was on, it must have been pretty confusing because you're like, I don't know if I want to date them. I don't know if I want to borrow their shoes, if I want to go shopping with them. Like, what do you do with this? And it was funny, like in the 80s, in the early 90s when I liked Poison, and I still love Poison, it was just, they were cool, and Brett obviously was beautiful because he still is beautiful and I love him. But like Bon Jovi, God, how much time did he spend on his hair? His curls were always perfect. The jean jacket, the fringe, the boots. The Living on a Prayer was on. His boots were amazing. And I'm just like, crap, would I have wanted to wear those when I was in the 80s? Or would I have wanted to be with a guy who was wearing those? It's really funny. And then the other thing is, like, saxophone players probably really thought that was going to be a valid, like, big time music career in the 80s, because every song had a saxophone in it. I mean, and like, I don't even remember what video it was, but there was one video and it was like the saxophone player had the whole solo by himself. He had a whole part of the video. It was a center feature of this video. And then grunge happened and saxophone players were really just left out in the dust. Like, sure, saxophone players still have a place in lots of types of music, but unfortunately, it's not usually popular music these days. But man, in the 80s, they were living the dream. So I was just sitting there, like, enjoying the music, but also completely fascinated, and my brain's going like a million miles an hour thinking of all these crazy things that I never thought about related to this music. Usually I just listen to the music and move on to the next thing, but I was having all these thoughts like, what in the world were these people doing? Like, it was great. I love the 80s music. You really just can't not love the 80s music. It's fabulous. So anyway, that's my thought for the week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the interview with Nayya. It's really a great one. They were great guys to talk to, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.